In medieval Europe, fruits weren't just a source of nourishment. They played a crucial role in medicine, trade, and survival. Yet many of these essential fruits have completely vanished from our modern world. In this video, we'll uncover 15 forgotten medieval fruits and reveal the surprising reasons they disappeared from today's diets and farms. Medlar, Mespilus germanica. In medieval Europe, the medlar was a fruit unlike any other. This small, round fruit was eaten only when it had rotted, a process known as bletting. It might sound unappetizing, but once overripe, it developed a rich, spiced flavor and was used in medieval desserts, jams, and even as a remedy for digestive issues. However, medlars disappeared over time because they require rotting before eating, which made them unappealing, hard to store, and commercially impractical compared to fresher, more attractive fruits like apples and pears. Today, medlars are nearly impossible to find, having been replaced by more conventional fruits. Quint was prized for its fragrance and versatility. While it's too tart to eat raw, it was often cooked into jams, jellies, and pastes. In medieval kitchens, it was considered a staple, not just for its culinary uses, but for its medicinal qualities as well. Rich in pectin, it was believed to help with digestion and soothe an upset stomach. However, quince has almost disappeared from modern orchards. This decline is due to its tartness, making it unappealing for raw consumption, and the rise of sweeter, more convenient fruits like apples and pears, which are easier to eat without preparation. Over time, quince was replaced by fruits that fit better with modern preferences and lifestyles. Mulberries. Once common across Europe, mulberries were adored for their sweet, juicy berries and their importance in silk production. Mulberry trees were the sole food source for silkworms. These fruits were used in pies, wines, and jams. But over the centuries, the cultivation of mulberries declined, replaced by more popular fruits like apples and cherries. This decline occurred as mulberries became less commercially viable due to their labor-intensive cultivation and harvesting, as well as the diminishing importance of the silk industry. Serviceberry, Juneberry. Known for its delicate blueberry-like taste, the serviceberry was a favorite among medieval foragers. It grew in abundance across the woodlands of Europe and North America. The fruit was eaten fresh, dried, or made into pies, and its leaves were even used for medicinal teas. But with the rise of commercial farming and modern fruit cultivation, serviceberries have nearly vanished from the mainstream. The shift to higher-yielding, more easily cultivated fruits, coupled with a decrease in consumer demand, led to the decline of serviceberries. Sloes, blackthorn fruit. Small, sour, and dark purple sloes were once highly valued in medieval Europe, particularly for their role in making sloe gin a popular spirit. The tartness of sloes was also used in jams, jellies, and syrups, as well as in herbal remedies for a variety of ailments. However, as alcohol laws and modern sweeteners changed, the sloe fell out of favor. The rise of sweeter, commercially produced beverages and the shift in consumer tastes led to the decline of sloes, now relegated to the wild hedgerows of Europe. Damson plums. The Damson plum was much smaller and tarter than the plums we know today, but it was treasured for its rich, deep flavor and versatility in medieval recipes. Whether in sauces, jellies, or as a dried snack, damsons were a common feature on the medieval table. Over time, however, they were overshadowed by sweeter varieties of plum, which became more popular due to their appeal to modern tastes. The decline in demand for the tart damson, along with its specific growing requirements, led to it being rarely found in modern orchards. White currants. White currants were often cultivated in monastery gardens across medieval Europe, prized for their sweetness compared to their red counterparts. They were used in wines, jams, and as a garnish for feasts. However, over time, the popularity of red currants and black currants, which offered stronger flavors and better commercial viability, led to the near disappearance of this delicate pale fruit. Medullas, wild pears. Medieval people relied on wild pears or medullas, known for their tough texture and bitter taste when raw. These pears were often stewed with honey and spices to make them edible. They were also considered an important food source during harsh winters. However, as cultivation methods improved and sweeter, more consumer-friendly varieties of pears were developed, wild pears were gradually replaced, leading to their decline. Much smaller and more sour than regular apples, crab apples were commonly used in medieval Europe to make cider jelly and even sauces. They were also revered for their role in preserving other fruits. But with the widespread cultivation of sweet apples and the decline of traditional cider making, the humble crab apple has become a rare sight today. Nephles, often thought to be loquats or related species, were a cherished fruit in medieval gardens. With a sweet, tangy flavor, they were eaten raw or preserved in syrups and jams. Although loquats are still cultivated in some areas, the medieval Nephle has faded from common cultivation as global trade introduced more familiar fruits that were easier to grow and more widely accepted by consumers. Ground cherries, physalis. Small, orange, and enclosed in a papery husk, ground cherries were a staple in medieval hedgerows. The fruit's tangy, slightly sweet flavor made it perfect for jams, sauces, and even wine. The shift to more commercially viable and easier-to-grow fruits has led to the decline of ground cherry cultivation. Barberries. Barberries, small tart red berries, were used extensively in medieval cooking. They were often incorporated into sauces, stews, and even used medicinally to treat a variety of ailments. However, with the rise of other more appealing fruits, barberries faded from the common diet. Their tartness and less commercially viable cultivation led to their decline, and they are now largely forgotten, even though they still grow in wild areas. These forgotten medieval fruits may no longer dominate our tables, but their unique flavors and rich history continue to inspire. These fruits tell the story of a time when food was deeply connected to survival and tradition. While many have faded from modern orchards, their legacy lives on. Who knows? Maybe they'll make a comeback in the future. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next fascinating chapter.